I've been sitting here trying to think of something clever to say for an introduction. I got fucking nothing. I'd like to just talk about this album, so let's just get right into it. This is a self-titled album from Oceans of Slumber, a band with a pretty diverse range of influences notably on display. There's influence from doom metal, there's influence from alternative metal, there's influence from melodic death metal, there's influence from black metal, there's influence from progressive black metal, there's influences from modern black metal, and even some tech death bands. The lead vocals in particular from Cami Gilbert show a lot of influence from the world of classic and modern soul music, which immediately makes everything feel very lush, very evocative, very heartfelt. The album is practically swimming in its own emotional depths. And to top it all off, they now have a self-titled record, which historically is itself kind of a gamble. Typically, naming an album after the band itself is, by default, somewhat of a declarative statement. A lot of bands use it to simply verbally confirm some kind of transformation musically or behind the scenes, or both. Metallica's self-titled album, better known as the Black Album, is a fantastic example of everything I'm talking about. But on the flip side of things, sometimes this declaration, this transition, is a little bit too much for some people to handle. Suicide Silence's 2017 self-titled album is a fantastic example of this. Although, for the record, I still think y'all overreacted a bit there. Like, who cares if it was Diet Deftones? The Deftones rule. The ultimate point being, Oceans of Slumber have a lot riding on this album from a musical and a promotional standpoint. Which is why I'm happy to confirm that while Oceans of Slumber may not be a perfect record, it does rise to the occasion and, better than any other album the band has put out, capture the vision of Oceans of Slumber. It is ambitious, it is creative, it is fresh, it is meticulously arranged and presented. The production value on this is fantastic. The guitars, the bass, the drums, they sound so crisp, so clear. The album has a remarkable flow to it, to the point where even the album's weakest cuts can't really do anything to derail the album itself. And as far as the best tracks on this record are concerned, whoo boy! Tracks like Pray for Fire and Total Failure Apparatus do a great job at blending the band's more melodic and extreme flavors into one concise and enjoyable package. I'm kind of reminded of the works of Black Crown Initiate, some of the more melodic material from Volusia as well. There's a particularly cathartic contrast of progressive black metal and very lush, soulful gothic metal on the track I Mourn These Yellowed Leaves that honestly reminds me of very, very, very early Opeth. Cami's vocals are not just consistently great across the record, they are probably the best thing on the record. Her performance in Return to the Earth Below in particular was a huge highlight for me. I loved how she was able to warp all of these very soulful and emotional vocal melodies into this very lush, evocative, epic doom and gothic metal fusion. The Colors of Grace, a vocal duet featuring Mick Moss of Antimatter, was another highlight on the record. It felt very tense, very mysterious, yet at the same time also quite romantic. These two have very natural vocal chemistry that they absolutely take advantage of. Although weirdly, I must admit, coming out of this album, one of my favorite tracks on the record was probably the band's cover of Wolf Moon, originally from Typo Negative. It remains every bit as dreary and atmospheric as the original, but Cami's inherently more soulful presentation and approach makes this come to life in ways that Peter Steele, with all due respect, could not have done. I'm not the type to encourage cover albums whatsoever, but I would not object at all if Oceans of Slumber decided to record more Typo Negative covers in the future, because I am seriously loving this number. I will admit that on my first playthrough of the album, I did find it to be a little bit bloated. Its hefty 71-minute runtime is pretty intimidating, to say the least. I did find the material a lot easier to absorb and swallow on repeat listens. However, I did find myself skipping over all of the instrumental pieces and interludes, as in my opinion, they just don't really add anything really all that special atmospherically or conceptually or musically to the album. As far as I'm concerned, the only thing they accomplish here is making the album longer, which it really doesn't need to be. But, as I said before, these tracks, the album's weakest tracks, are not weak enough to derail the entire album. Like, the Oceans of Slumber train is moving pretty good, you know? Oh, tracks are a little rusty here. Maybe we have to switch tracks here. But other than that, we've still made it to the final destination. It's all good. I straight up dropped that on the floor. Why did I do that? Initially, I was feeling a good, strong 3.5 out of 5, but now I'm kind of feeling a 4 out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed the crap out of this album. To be honest, I think this is kind of what I've been looking for in prog metal for a while now. Like, finally, a band that wants to get away from fucking 2-hour concept albums and 9-minute neoclassical guitar solos and Dream Theater-esque bullshit. Finally, a band with a fresh perspective, with a fresh sound that pulls influences from across the prog metal and extreme metal spectrums. A band with an amazing singer who doesn't sound like any other prog metal, heavy metal singer out there. I would highly recommend this to prog metal fans looking for something bold, looking for something dynamic, looking for something new and spicy. On a weirdly similar note, I would even recommend this to people disenchanted with progressive metal, disenchanted by how inherently pompous and over-the-top the genre has become. Honestly, I would recommend this to anyone who just wants to hear some really diverse, intelligent, and well-constructed music. Like, this is a seriously great fucking record. Hell, honestly, I'm like this close to just buying the thing on vinyl right fucking now. It's quite literally a decision between, do I buy groceries this week, or do I buy some vinyl? Both are very tempting. 4 to 5, great record. Definitely check this thing out. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately, and you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.